call your teenage life. I would like you to have some kind of an adult life. That's all I'm saying.
I don't have my teeth right now. I don't know how to have any. You don't understand what I did. I killed somebody.
I know you did.
You don't understand why I'm so stressed. But I have to think about that every day.
What?
Me facing life.
So he was reaching for something?
Yeah. I thought he was reaching for a gun. So I'm like, oh shit, you know what I'm saying? That's what he's doing. He's gonna murder me or rape me or something.
Yeah. And then what did you do?
I shot him. And it's like all these thoughts all of a sudden rushed in my head. What have I done? What am I doing? What just happened? You know what I'm saying? Did I just kill him? Is he okay? Is he alright? Did the gun hit him? If he hit him, you know what I'm saying? If he hurt it, why is he moving? All this and that and the other, you know what I'm saying? What's that noise he's making? Because I heard the blood pour. It was like water pouring on the ground. And I was thinking, oh, the blood's gonna come from under the bed. That was a big thought. I kept thinking that and touched me.
Cyntoia is a complex child. She is the little girl that everyone would love to have.
This is a kid who had some horrible life experiences. Many, many bad things happened to her, and it wasn't just an isolated bad thing, but it was a pattern of bad things, and that this shaped the way she related to people. She would step out of bad situations, and then she would find herself another bad situation to get into. She allowed herself to get involved with one more bad situation.
All right. We are here this afternoon, I believe, in the matter of Cyntoia Brown. And it's my understanding that this is set as a transfer hearing. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, ma'am.
So are we ready to proceed?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. You are Cyntoia Brown.
Yes, ma'am.
I have your date of birth listed as January the 29th, 1988. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
That makes you, what, 15 now?
16.
16, yeah. Do you understand why you're here?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. This is not a hearing to determine if you're guilty or innocent of the charges against you. The only purpose of today's hearing is to determine where your case should be tried, whether it should be heard here in the juvenile court.
If she stays in juvenile court, she'll undoubtedly go to some sort of juvenile detention facility, but only until she's 19. If she were to be tried as an adult, she might get many, many years in prison.
State your name, please.
My name is Cyntoia Brown.
The night of August 6th of 2004. Where did you begin that evening around, say, 7 o'clock?
I was in the hotel room.
And what were you doing with Cut in the motel room at the In-Town Suites?
We were either getting high or having sex. That's all we ever did. He said that I was slipping and that I was starting to become a slouch, that I needed to get out and get on my grind and get some money. When I left, I was looking for a ride so I can go out to East Nashville.
Who were you going to see in East Nashville?
Well, I wasn't going to see particularly anyone. I was going to an area that I knew was very, I don't know, it's a lot of people go there and prostitute.
Okay. And how were you going to get there?
I was going to get a ride from someone.
When you walked up to the Sonic, who approached you?
A man in a white truck.
And is this the person that has been referred to throughout this hearing, Mr. Allen?
Yes. The question came up, was I up for any action? And the action, I guess you should know that it was insinuating sexual. He asked me how much, and I told him 200. And he said no, 100. And we decided finally on 150.
Who made the suggestion of going to his house?
He did. I had actually suggested the hotel we was right there at, but he didn't want to go to the hotel. He said that he wanted to go to his house because there was no one there.
Did he tell you who he lived with or anything like that?
He said he lived by himself. That time he was just finished telling me about his accomplishments and saying how that he used to be in the Army, and because I mentioned that I was from Fort Campbell. And so he related to how he was FROSA in the Army before and that he was a sharpshooter in the Army. And then he had told me how a lot of women want him for his money and that he wanted someone to make love with him with desire.
Okay. Did you see any guns in the house?
Yes, I seen 2 shotguns downstairs, and he showed me a chrome gun with a black handle.
Where were you when he showed you that?
I was sitting at the table eating my food.
Do you tend to be a nervous person?
Yeah.
Was there anything that made you especially nervous that night?
Just how he was acting, just how he talked. It's like the way he talked, how he was just so important and stuff. And then me, I look at myself, who am I? Who am I to him? It's like, then he talks about the guns and stuff. If he does something to me, I'm sitting here thinking, what can I do? I'm in his house. Ain't nobody gonna know where I'm at. My mom and them, they don't know where I'm at. The people that I stay with, chick on them, they don't know where I'm at. Nobody's gonna know what happens to me. He doesn't care. He doesn't even know who I left with. And all this is just running through my mind, and I'm just a nervous wreck.
Mr. Allen was asleep and facing away from you when you shot him.
No, sir.
All right. What I want you to do is to explain to the court how you have a gun in your purse on the night, correct?
Right.
You don't want to do this. You don't want to be here. So you felt like if you tried to leave, he would harm you.
Right.
And your belief in that is based on the fact that he told you he had some guns and he's a sharpshooter.
Not only that, but the way
also,
he was acting.
Well, all I know about his activities is what you've told us, and that's really all we'll ever know, Miss Brown.
Right.
Since you killed him, the only thing we know is that he took you to Sonic. He bought you food. He took you home. You used his bathroom. You felt comfortable doing that. You ate with him. You felt comfortable doing that. You sat on the couch and watched TV with him. You felt comfortable doing that. You got in the bed and at least one time went to sleep while he was there. You felt comfortable doing that.
I never went to sleep.
What happened next?
At first he was just stroking me, but then it's like he just grabbed me like in between my legs, like he just grabbed it real hard. And he just gave me this look. It was like a very fierce look. And it just sent these chills up my spine. I'm thinking he's gonna hit me or do something like that. But then he rolls over and reaches, like he's reaching to the side of the bed or something. So I'm thinking, no, he's not finna hit me. He's finna get a gun.
And what did you do at that time?
I just grabbed the gun and I shot him.
How did you become involved with the case of Cyntoia Brown?
You contacted me and you asked me if I could do a pre-trial forensic psychiatric evaluation. Usually we do both a psychiatric part, which is a psychiatric interview, and we also have psychological testing done. Let's start with adopted family.
You got my mom, Ellennette Brown. You got my dad, Thomas Brown.
What's her name? Ellennette?
Mm-hmm. Ellennette.
Okay. What kind of work does she do?
She's a teacher.
And then father is Thomas? Mm-hmm. What does he do? Is he a truck driver?
Truck driver. Yeah, you already know.
And I know that you have 2 sisters in this family.
No, I have a sister and a brother.
Tell me about your biological family. What do you know about? Who are they?
I just know Gina.
Gina? Is this your biological mother?
Yeah.
Gina, as in Gina and Gia?
Georgina Mitchell.
Okay.
But
how old is she, do you think?
She's probably 32.
Yeah. Do you know how to tell?
Huh?
Do you know?
She had me when she was about 16. I'm 16.
Right. That's right. Does that seem sort of funny to you that your mom was 16 and now you're 16? Does that?
I guess. I don't know.
Does that seem sort of strange?
No. I guess.
Tell me about these people, your adoptive mom and dad. What are they like?
Mom, she nags a lot. Because she's a sweet person, but she wants me to be perfect and like her daughter. And my dad's an asshole. That's the only word you need to describe him.
Like what do you mean? Like, what would he do?
Like it, you know what I'm saying? I like it and stuff like that.
He would sort of slap you around?
Sometimes he had no reason, just he would actually say, I swear for God, because I felt like it.
I'm sorry, he said what?
Because I felt like it when I asked him why he hit me.
Oh, I see. That's what he would say.
Yeah.
What's this guy cut? What's his real name?
Gary and McLean.
So how long were you living with him?
For like 3 weeks.
And then what was he like?
Different hotels. I remember one time, the first time he did something to me is when he choked me and I passed out. Because he said I thought he was a joke.
What else did he do to you?
He talked real bad to me and jacked me up. He pulled me by my hair and dragged me and stuff. He put guns up to me, told me to strap and stuff like that, getting that with other people.
Did you ever have sex with the guys?
When I put a fucking gun up to me, I did.
Did he have sex with you too?
Yeah, he had sex with me. Sometimes I don't want to have sex with him. He'd still fuck me. I'd be crying and everything.
So how come you stayed with him?
You're not listening. I'm making him money. He wasn't gonna let me go nowhere. He told me he'd kill me. He knows where my mom lives. And I know the dude choked me till I almost passed out. He's not afraid to kill me.
Well, I'm going to talk to Kathy Evans, and then we're going to try to do something that might help you out when you go to court. Okay?
Thank you.
I said, well, let's talk about, there are people that there are times that you really, really like somebody, and then something happens, and then you don't like them. And she says, yeah, that's me. That's what I do. That people will be nice to you, and then they'll be bad to you. I mean, that's the way people are. In other words, her perception of life is that everybody's like that. In other words, she doesn't see that she's the one who's casting people in these roles, that she sees, as far as she can tell, that's the way people are. Now, how did this manifest itself when this guy, Johnny, was killed? See, I think that some of these characteristics affected the behavior, specifically her affective instability, in other words, becoming suddenly frightened about the situation she was in, and her paranoia, which is part of this condition. So I think it's possible to say that the criminal act was related to her personality disorder.
Were you able to establish a rapport, and were you able to get additional information from Cyntoia?
Well, yes, I had a good meeting with her. We met for 2 hours, and she talked a great deal about her life and about the offense. Her biological mother side of the family is extremely heavily loaded with psychiatric disorders.
Bipolar personality disorder, suicidal, manic depressive, which is an guarded condition. At times I've had homicidal thoughts for people that have hurt me. I've been raped, and I've always, wanted to do things to them for hurting me. And
let me ask you this. You actually attempted suicide in the past?
Yes, ma'am.
What does this tattoo on your arm say?
Suicide.
And Dr. Burnett will address, but is there a history of suicide throughout your family, actual suicides?
Yeah, my mom shot herself in front of me when I was in 2nd grade. Her sister, which is my aunt, just killed herself with a shotgun. My grandpa, he shot himself in the head. My Aunt Shirley, she's tried to kill herself God knows how many times.
So that's the half having to do with genetics. The half having to do with early development is, I guess, is interesting in the sense that the basic theory is that people have trouble during achieving these first two stages of life, and that's ages 0 to 3 or 4. And that's exactly the point in Cyntoia's life that was just totally messed up. First of all, she lived with a number of different people. I was trying to keep track of the different caretakers, but there were 6 or 7 different people who took care of Cyntoia, and this meant comings and goings and separations, and at one point she was kidnapped by a family member, and she felt like she had been abandoned by the other mother. This is exactly the kinds of problems that would create failure to achieve the attachment and then the healthy separation.
We started to see really, really bizarre behaviors as far as very manipulative, controlling the situation, very possessive.
How was she possessive? What types of things?
Well, I can only speak, she was very possessive when it came to her and I as far as our relationship goes, Whenever she thought that I was getting too close to someone or someone was getting too close to me, then she would act out. Pouting, stubborn behavior, jealousy, that sort of thing.
I think that's exactly what happened here, is that she was born with a vulnerability, and then during this critical period up to age 3, she ends up with all these long separation experiences, and she ends up with this personality disorder. I'm not actually sure even how this happened. I'm under the impression that it was a kind of an informal arrangement by which the mother let the Browns raise Cyntoia. But we need to find out kind of how that happened. Today, we're going to have an opportunity to talk to her adoptive mother, with whom she lived since about age 2, and also with her biological mother. It's a little bit unusual to be able to talk to her biological mother because she really has been out of the picture now for many years in Cyntoia's life.
Interesting.
Ms. Mitchell, I'll tell you what I would find helpful just to kind of get up to date is how things went yesterday when you saw Cyntoia. How'd that go?
I was just so glad to see her. For the first time since she was little. And, she's very beautiful. And she just reminds me so much of me when I was that age.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Like what? Can you give us an example?
Twin. The ups and downs, anger one minute, happy the next. She wanted to know about our side of the family and, how I was doing and how, the way I used to be, how I changed my life around, how I rehabilitated myself.
When I met Cyntoia's mother, Georgina, she was pregnant with Cyntoia. Of course, at the time I didn't know that because all of the kids wore the big jerseys, with the numbers on them, my daughter included, my older daughter included. She came to my house like most teenagers did during the time. My house was the house where all the teenagers hung out. My son said to me, "Mom, can we go to see Gina at the hospital?" And of course my first reaction was, "Why? What's wrong with her?" And my son said, "Well, Mom, she had a baby." I said, "She had a baby?" He said, "Yes, ma'am." I said, "Well, is it yours?" He said, "No, ma'am, no, ma'am. She was pregnant when we met her."
It really didn't sink in that I was really pregnant, until my stomach got big. But, I psyched my mind out, this is not true. It couldn't be real. I didn't understand it until the baby came. When I got pregnant, I was drinking, and even after my pregnancy, I still drank on a daily basis. Having a newborn and I was a child myself, I couldn't handle it, so I would escape to the bottle. I drank for about 8 months of her life, and the 8th month, that's when I was introduced to crack cocaine. And so when I got introduced to crack cocaine, I also got introduced to the easy money on how to get it, which was prostituting. So during this time when I started smoking, I liked that I could escape all my problems, all my responsibilities, because I didn't even know the responsibility of taking care of a child. You know, I couldn't keep putting a child into that type of lifestyle that I was in because I never knew where I was.
She came to my son and asked my son, Chico, if he would take the child because she was in trouble. And at the time, I didn't know what kind of trouble, but we soon found out later. And of course, she, was in serious trouble. She had gone to jail, and it was just several incidents after that with the police. So we took her, the first time I think she was 6 months old, and had her until she was 18 months.
They had always told me, Mommy had always told me how Gina never tried to get in contact with me and that she didn't want me. And it used to hurt my feelings because I used to wonder why would she not want me and why would she not try to write me and stuff. And I found a whole lot of letters, like 20 letters from Gina from when she wrote me when I was a baby. And there was all kind of pretty pictures drawn on the envelopes and stuff. And it was written from jail. And it just made me mad because they should have given that to me as soon as I was able to read, But they didn't. And she was telling me how she loved me and stuff.
Yeah, we're going to see my mom. If I don't say too much around here, it's best. Because if she gets started, it's just going to send me into a whirlwind. I'm going to go berserk. I already know it. She knows how to push my buttons. She knows which ones to touch. And it doesn't take very long, because we usually can't stay around each other no more than 5 or 10 minutes.
Sometimes it's better to adopt a child than it is to keep it.
What about in this case?
I can't say, Gina, because you were so young. You were so young.
I'm saying, look at then and now. Okay, was adoption the right thing for her, do you think? The way her life ended up? Adoption must have been...
we can't blame that on adoption.
Oh, my God.
I don't think. Unless he knows more than I do, and there are things.
What about an unwilling adoption? I didn't want to adopt her out.
Oh, unwilling adoption?
Yeah. It was done against my will.
How were you going to feed this child? How were you going to take care of this child?
That's what they have systems for.
I did see you try. Now, she did have an apartment, and had just gotten it, I think, and was going to beauty school. And
working.
And working. But sometimes the load gets too heavy, and some people aren't strong enough to carry it.
Yeah, it had to be heavy on a 17-year-old with a baby going to school and working.
That's the point right there. That's the point.
All I wanted was somebody to help me, show me something. Linda had to show me how to make a bottle. I didn't even know how to make a bottle.
That's why children should not have children. That's exactly why they should not have children.
That's why parents intervene.
But I don't think because you couldn't make a bottle, as what Toya has turned out, such as she has.
That's a start right there. If you can't feed them, how the hell can you raise them?
I think Cyntoia was abused as a child, and she was physically abused, and it sounds like she was sexually abused over a period of time. Sexual abuse is a really, really big problem. In a way, our society has gotten much, much better at identifying these children. Now, unfortunately, we don't always, and I think Cyntoia's case, her sexual abuse went on unrecognized for, I guess, considerable period of time. And it does affect a person later.
Go get the other ones. I can't move them.
What do you mean in these?
They right there like this. The other one's on the side. Go get the other ones with handcuffs on the side. I can move.
Did you hear me?
Huh?
Stand up. Winston's got him on the girl who went to court.
There's more than one, so I know you lying.
They're all like this.
No, they're not.
The other four
No,
are
they
like
not.
this.
How was that when me, Crystal, and Miss Carolyn had one last time we went to court?
I'll check it.
You need to do that too. 4, 25, 26 memories. There's just a whole lot of memories.
Are they good memories or bad memories or just memories in general?
Mostly bad. Oh, and this is my sex list. And you know, that